Hi friends, welcome to C# programming. In this video, I will teach you about how to create methods in C# programming. Then we are going to understand what is method parameter and arguments. Then we are going to see how to return a value from a method. Then we are going to discuss about what is call by value and call by reference with a special keyword called ref and out keyword. So let us start with an example program. So in Microsoft Visual Studio, first we need to create a project. So in this project, usually in C# programming, every logic we have to write inside a class. So every program starts with a class and class name. Then inside we need a main function, right? So for example, if you want to test this program, just we can display some message by using this function console.writeLine. Just we'll try to execute this program, and then we need to write one more function called read key, so which will show the output window without closing it, so that we can see the output. Otherwise the output window will be closed after printing hello message. So to execute, we have to click this start button and you'll be getting the output in the console window. So this is a console window, and here you can see the output hello message, right? So this is a process how to execute C# programming. And now let us understand how to create functions, that is called methods. Okay, so methods are actually a block of code which will be executed when you call the method. So it's a function, it's also called as a function. So we can write methods whenever you want to use that method logic so many times in your program. So let us start with how to create a user defined method. So to create user defined method in C#, we can create static methods. So to create static methods, we have to start with the static keyword, then return type, then method name. For example, I want to print something, some hello message. Okay, so I'm going to write say hello as a function name, right? So this function, the role of this function is to print hello message. Okay, right, just like this. So this way we can write the function definition. So inside we can print hello message. So this is called function definition. So we are creating a function. So, or we can say that method definition. So after creating method definition, we have to use the method by calling the function. So to call the function, we have to use just a function name, say hello. So that's all. So this way we can call the method. So this is called method calling, right? So calling method takes place here. Okay, so like this we can create a method in C# program. So starts with static and return type and function name or method name parenthesis. Inside we have to write the logic, right? So now if I run the program, so now what will be getting, the output will be getting hello. Again we'll be getting hello message. So here you can see hello message here. Okay, right, so this is output. So like this we can create as many functions and we can call those functions. So now in this function we are just printing hello message without taking any input. So there is another concept called parameters and arguments in method. So what is called parameters? It is a variable to hold the incoming input data for the function. For example, to perform some logic inside the method, you need some data, right? So that data we can get as a parameter, right? So to get as a parameter, so we can create method with parameters. Okay, so now let's see another function. So I'm going to just delete this function to demonstrate how to use parameters. Okay, we are going to see parameters and arguments. Okay, so here I'm going to demonstrate a very simple example how to add two numbers, right? So we'll write a function static void and sum function. In sum function we can create a first value as int a, second value is int b. So inside we can perform addition of two numbers, right? So and we can display the output. So for example, console.writeLine inside a plus b. So it will print the sum of two numbers. And before printing sum of two number, we can display the some text also, result equal to, right? So just we need to use the parenthesis. right? So here this a variable and b variable is called as parameters. Okay, so here a and b is called as parameters. Now this is called method definition with parameters. Method definition with parameters. So now for this method, how we can call the method? So like in the previous example, we are calling say hello and parenthesis, right? So like this, we have to call this function also. So while calling the function, and here since we are using a parameter, we have to pass some values, right? So for example, 10 comma 20, you have to end with semicolon, right? So now this 10 is copied to this particular parameter, and this 20 will be stored in this b parameter, right? And from here this a and b we are taking for processing. We can perform addition of two numbers, right? So now let us see the output here. Now look at this output. Here we are getting the result equal to 30. So how it is working? Using method call. Using method call, we are passing the parameter, right? 10 comma 20 to this method definition, right? So we'll be getting the output as 30, right? So one more thing, instead of passing this 10 and 20 directly, we can also get as input also. So we can get from the user, we can ask enter a and b values. So using like this, enter a and b value, or we can say enter the value of a. So first we are going to store enter the value of a is equal to in C sharp we can convert the input as an integer format by using convert dot to int 32-bit, 64-bit or 16-bit, any format you can use, and followed by you have to use, there is a function called console.readline. So readline is used for getting the input. So basically this readline method gives a string data. So we need an integer format, right? So to convert us, you need to go for convert.toInt32 function, or we can use int.parse function. We can also use int.parse function. So the same way we can take the next value also. For example, enter the value of b. So now here I am passing a value, right? And I am taking and converting as integer value, right? So now instead of passing 10 and 20, we can pass a comma b. So this is what the dynamic programming. So we can this program, so that this program works for any input, right? So first we need to take the input, and this input we have to pass to this parameter. Okay, so here this a and b is called as a comma b is called as arguments. Okay, so it's called as arguments, and here in method definition it is called as parameters. So parameter is a variable to hold the arguments. Okay, so let us see the output here. So here you can notice that, so it is actually asking the value of a, so I'm giving 100. Then next it is asking the value of b, I'm giving 24. So when I press enter, we are getting the result as 124. So the result from this function I'm getting the result. Okay, look at this, how it is happening. The a I'm storing in the 100 is stored in a, and the 24 is stored in b, and we are passing this 124 to this function, and where it will be stored in another variable called a, another variable called b. Okay, so both are different variable, you have to understand. Okay, this is a different local variable, and this is another different local variable. It is not, memory is not same. Okay, even the variable name is same, it is different scope, different local variable for this sum function and this main function. Okay, so here we are just performing the addition, right? The same way we can also perform subtraction, multiplication, any operation we can able to perform, or any other logic we can able to perform, right? So this is about how to create parameters and how to pass arguments to the method. So next we are going to see how to return value. So in function we can also return value. So the third one, return values from methods. So here in this program, so we can consider the same program. Now after getting input A and B, we are passing the input to this function. So where A and B is stored in another A and B variable, and we are calculating the addition of two numbers and we are printing the result there itself, right? So instead of printing this result here, sometimes you want the result in the main function. Okay, so when I am calling this sum function, I want the result. After performing addition, I want the result back in the sum function. So in order to do that, so what you have to do is you need to go for return value concept. Okay, so to return value, first you have to remove this line and you have to write return statement. Then we can write the logic. Okay, you have to perform the logic and you have to return. So what logic we are going to perform? A plus B, right? So we can write the logic and we can say that return the result. Okay, so here you will be getting error because in this method we have mentioned the return type as void. So since I am returning an integer value, so after adding two integer, we will be getting the result will be integer, right? So since it is returning integer value, so the return void statement, void keyword we have to replace with compatible with the return value. So here the return value is a integer, so the return type should be integer. Okay, like this we have to return the value, then also we can return, right? So since it is a small logic, we are doing only A plus B. That's why I am writing in one line return A plus B. So it will return to the caller. So actually this sum function is called by main function, right? So main function is the caller of sum function, right? Some method. Okay, actually function and method both are same. In C# it is called as method. Okay, right? So where we are calling in line number 15 we are calling, right? So here it will be returned, the result will be coming here. So here we can store the result using a variable, some variable you can create, and we can store the return value from this function. So after that, after storing the result, we can able to display. So to display we have to use write line and we can display the result. So before displaying result, we can say some text, sum is equal to something. Okay, so like this. So now let's see the output here. So we can close this output window and save all the program and click start. Right, so now here you can notice that the output is coming and it is waiting for the input. So 25 56. Okay, we are getting 81. 25 plus 56 81, we are able to get the output. Okay, so the same way here we are applying return values. So here we can understand how to return a value. Just you have to use return statement and what value you are going to return, and the return type should match, and where it will be returned, where you are calling the function, the value will be returned. So this is about how to return a value from a method. So the next we have two more topic, call by value and call by reference. So now when you are passing value, for example here I am passing a comma b, so this is called call by value, right? So it's called as call by value since I am just passing the copy of a to another variable called a, right? So even though both variables are same, it is not a same memory or same reference. Okay, it is a different value. Okay, so this a variable and this a variable is both are different. Okay, different local variables. So just we are copying the value from this a to that particular a, right? So it is called call by value. So call by reference means instead of passing the value, we can pass address of that particular memory, so that if you make any changes in that particular variable, it will affect the original value of the original memory location. Okay, so let us understand with one small example program. So I'll just remove this program and I'll delete this also. So assume that I have a function method here, static method void. So this method is used to find the square of given number. Okay, for example the given number is, assume that x. Okay, I want to find the square of given number, right? So here I have to write the expression x equal to x into x, right? So that is a mathematical expression for calculating square. Okay, of course we can use method also we can write, math dot square function is there. So without method library functions, we have to write like x equal to x into x. Okay, so now I'm going to call this method. Okay, for example, so there is a smelly square. Okay, I want to find the square. So now I'm going to take the input. So console dot write. So enter the number. Okay, I can store this number int a equal to, just otherwise we can store it in a variable x. Okay, right. Then here I'm going to use another way of conversion, int dot parse. We can also use int dot parse for converting the text input to a integer format. Right. So now we are taking input and converting as an integer format. Now I'm going to call this square function. Okay, just I'm called the square function, and I'm passing x value, right? And after that, so I'm going to print the x value. So now look at this here. After calling square function, I'm printing the x value, right? So here what I'm expecting is I'm getting an input from the user. I'm calling a square function, and I want to convert that given number as a square of itself, right? So after calling the square function, I'm printing the value. Okay, so now let us see the output here. Run the program, and here I'm going to give the input number. So I'm going to give 5, right? The 5 square should be 25, right? So now what is the result I'm getting? I'm getting only value equal to 5. I'm not getting the value 25. Okay, so the reason behind this this output is why I'm getting why this number is not changed. Okay, so we have to think why this number is not changed. It is still 5, but I'm writing logic to make it square. Okay, so here we have to think why it is not coming, right? So here the reason is actually this is actually done because of using call by value. Okay, the concept is call by value. So here call by value means when we are passing x value, what will happen is a copy of this value will be assigned to another variable called x. So we have to understand both variables are different memory. So if you make any changes inside square method, for example x equal to x into x, it won't affect the original value of x. Okay, since we are passing the value of x, just a copy of x to this particular function. Okay, so here it is called as call by value, right? Right. So due to call by value, the original value will not affect. So that's what we have to understand. Okay, so next we'll see what is call by reference, the last topic called call by reference. So call by, instead of call by reference, call by value, we can, if you want to make changes. Okay, so if you run this program, you will get the given number as it is 5. There is no change. Suppose if you are expecting that particular given number should be manipulated, should be modified according to that square functionality. In that case, we have to pass the reference, not the value. We have to pass the reference. Reference is similar to the address of the particular variable, right? So to pass the reference, we have to pass the reference to the method. So how will you pass the reference to the method, right? So in C#, we have a keyword called ref. So there is a keyword called ref. Using this ref keyword, so we can able to, for example, here I can just highlight. So this is a keyword, ref keyword. So using this keyword, we can pass the address of this particular variable to the method. So to pass the memory address of this particular variable to the method, we have to use the ref keyword. So how to use ref keyword? Just you have to use ref space x. So it will take the address of this x variable and it will pass the address to the method. So not only here, we have to apply this ref keyword in the method here also. So how to apply here? Just before this integer, you have to use ref keyword. So now both is actually this function is passing the address and this function is able to store the address. Okay. So now if we make any changes by using this variable, x is, we are going to modify x into x. So what will happen? Now here the the same memory only we are sharing it, right? So we are passing the same memory from here to here. So what will happen is in one memory that modification is happening, right? So if you print after calling square function, if you print the value here, now we can understand the value will be changed. Okay, so since we are passing the address of the variable, right? So here you can test by executing this program. Just we can execute the program, and here you can notice that how call by reference is working. So it's not a call by value, it's a call by reference now, right? So now here you can see I'm going to pass 5 as input. Now we are getting the output as 25, right? So in the earlier we were discussing about call by value, where we are getting only the original value, right? So since we are passing only value to the method, here we are passing the address of x to the method, right? So using ref keyword. So the use of ref keyword is to pass the address. From address, when we are calling a method, we can use ref keyword. The same way we can, there is one more keyword called out keyword. So next we are going to discuss about out keyword, right? So both keyword, ref keyword and out keyword, both are used for sending the address of the variable. Out is used for sending address of the output variable. For example, if you want to store the output of the function or output, some intermediate output of the method, if you want to store it in another variable, so we can pass using out parameter. Okay, now let us understand out parameter with the help of one example program. So how to use out parameter, right? So out is also used for sending reference to the method. Okay, so now let us understand by using a small example program. So here I'm going to delete this, here also I'm going to delete. Okay, now assume that I want to perform a banking operations. So we can create one method called one data called balance. So initially it is 0, right? So I want to perform so many operations. For example, I want to create an account, I want to update, deposit, so many things. Okay, so we can write some functionalities, right? So first we are going to write static create account, static void create account. So create account method, initially I have to deposit some amount, right? So we can pass the amount as well as the balance also. Okay, so here I'm going to combine the ref keyword and the out keyword. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, here first I'm going to take the balance using address operator, int balance. So the same balance can be accessed here using the address, right? Then followed by, after that I'm going to pass amount, pass the amount, right? So now what I'm going to do is balance, I'm just updating equal to this amount. So when you create account, it will be this amount, right? So now first I'm going to create account, right? So we can call this method by calling create account. Balance, just you have to use the address, we have to do call by reference. Okay, so that in this balance that updation will be done, right? Similarly, we have to pass the amount also. For example, initially I'm going to create account with 500 rupees. Okay, so now the 500 rupees is actually copied to this amount and the balance is updated. Okay, so now look at this. After updating balance, I want to display the result. I want to display the updated balance is this one. Okay, so we can create a result variable. Now this result variable we can use as a output parameter using out keyword. So we have out keyword, right? So using this out keyword we can use as a output parameter. So how to do that? Comma, we can use out result. So now in this result variable we can store some results from the method. Okay, so we have to go to that method. In that method also we have to write out and the variable names, exactly same variable we have to use. Okay, now this result variable is also a reference type, call by reference only, but the purpose is different, to store the result. If you want to store the result in a variable, we have to use out result, out int result here, right? Now this result we can store the updated balance. Updated balance we can store, right? So now what will happen, this result will be having the updated balance. So now we can say that console dot write line account created, we can say response account created current balance. Okay, account created, current balance is this much. What is the current balance? The current balance is stored in the result variable, right? So usually you can think this balance also we can directly print, but usually the balance should be protected, right? We have to keep it separately. Okay, so the result we have to use some other variable, right? So account created current balance is we can get the data from the result variable. Okay, got it, right? So now let us see this output here. So we can close the previous program and let us execute this program. So now look, you can see account created, current balance is 500, right? So this is what the application of out parameter to store the result from the functionality or method. We can use out parameter, and one more advantage of out parameter is we can have many output parameters, so that from one single method we can return multiple results. We can generate multiple results, we can store in a different out parameters. Okay, so out parameter you have to use only for storing results, storing intermediate results, storing some values. Okay, some results of some computation, not the original data. The original data you have to pass using a reference. Okay, so that's the difference between ref and out. And major difference is, for ref you need to initialize the variable. You must initialize the variable for ref. For out it is not needed, just a declaration is enough. There is no value for out parameter. Okay, out parameter there is no value is needed. Okay, the same thing we can also perform using, for example, in this program we can also apply one more functionality like static void deposit. Okay, so here in deposit also, first we need this balance. We have to pass the address of the balance, right? So reference, you can use reference balance, then how much amount you are going to deposit. After depositing, what is the result? Okay, what is the available balance? So to store that we can use the out parameter, right? Result like this. Now balance we can update, balance equal to balance the current balance, or we can shortcut, we can write balance equal to balance plus equal to amount. Now this updated balance we can store in a result, this updated balance. Okay, so that we can display the result, right? After deposit we can display the result. Okay, so now like this we can write another method, and with the use of, by using ref and out parameter. Now after deposit, now look at this, after account created I am going to deposit, right? So just you can call deposit within bracket. First we need to pass the reference of balance, and I am going to deposit 1000 rupees and out parameter result. Okay, so after this the updated balance will be stored in result, right? So we can able to see that the current after deposit, we can say after deposit current balance. So current balance equal to, you can of course you can print balance, but that is not a correct way. We can get the data from the result out parameter. Okay, so that is a usage purpose of out parameter. Okay, like this we can able to display the current updated balance using out parameter. So now let us see the output here. So first we are getting the account created, current balance is 500. After deposit, current balance is 1500, right? So like this we will be getting the output, right? So this is the use of out parameter, and the difference between ref and output parameter is actually the first one is the initialization. Okay, for a ref we should initialize some value, and for out there is no need of initializing value, but both are used for sending reference, not value. Okay, so this is the use of out parameter. Okay, So we have discussed about how to create methods and how to create method parameter, argument, and how to return value and call by value, call by reference, and we have discussed about two important keyword called ref and out in C# method. Thank you all.